To call the meeting to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalick.
Here.
Trustee LaRocca.
Here.
Trustee Geezer.
Here.
Trustee Frizzalone.
Here.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Here.
Trustee McCarthy.
Here.
Mayor Savarino.
Here. The Pledge of Allegiance would be next. I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag of the
of
United States
States of America,
and
and
to
to
the
the republic for which it stands,
and
one
one
nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and liberty
liberty and
and justice for all.
for all.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our March 16th, 2020 special workshop meeting?
So moved. Trustee McCarthy?
Trustee
Second,
Schwarzy,
trustee
second.
Clerk, call the roll. Tia, call the roll.
I hear you, sir.
All right, let's try that again. My mute didn't unmute. Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Abstain.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzalone.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
There a motion to approve the minutes of our March 16th, 2020 village board meeting?
Trustee
Trust-
Geezer.
Trustee
Trustee
Frizzalone.
Zalick.
Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Abstain.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzalone.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Usually at this time, we would have a listening post, but there will probably be none today because we have no one in the audience. So is there a motion to open a public hearing?
Trustee,
So moved. Trustee McCarthy?
Trustee Schwarzy, second.
Moved by trustee.
Mr. Mayor, before we get into that, there was the opportunity for people to end up sending in comments.
Yes.
So I don't know if Tia has any comments that were sent in for the listening post. But
Yes,
let's find that out first.
He does have things that came in. We have one that I know of and another one that just came in.
Correct.
Tia, can you read those? Are those for the listening post or are those for the budget?
No, they're for the budget hearing. We have no listening post, correct?
We have a listening post if anybody ended up sending anything in.
Okay, Tia, did anybody send anything in for the listening post?
I am checking that right now. The item that we received earlier was for the public hearing related to the budget. I am currently downloading the next item so that I can view that. This one came in after we had started the meeting.
Okay, so there's been no listening post? Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Trustee McCarthy?
Seconded, Trustee Geezer.
Moved by trustee McCarthy and seconded by trustee Geezer. Clerk, call the roll.
One second. Okay. Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzalone.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
This is a public hearing, our annual budget for our 2020 to 2021 fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2020. In the comments, we have one comment that I'm going to turn over to probably Bob Meller, our village manager. And that came in from, I'm not sure. Okay, well, we have one comment, so Came in from John Zimmerman. Bob, will you handle that?
Did Bob hear that request?
I don't know. Bob, did you hear the request?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. We did receive a request from John Zimmerman. And his request was, I'll read it out loud. Please delay or cut size of village property tax. Hello all, I hope you are feeling well. I'm writing to request that the village reduce the size of or delay implementing the village property tax because of the clear economic duress many citizens are suffering because of COVID-19. All of us are being asked to make tremendous sacrifices. I hope the village makes that sacrifice easier by making one of its own. Allow us to keep more money in our household budgets by rolling back or delaying the imposition of a new property tax. Thank you. Stay safe, John Zimmerman. And at this point in time, it's too late for the village to take any further action on the 2019 property tax levy. The DuPage County has already closed the period for abatements and has certified the levies of all taxing jurisdictions in the county in preparation for the May 1st tax bills. So we really can't do anything with the current levy. And will certainly incur significant impact to most of our recurring revenue streams due to COVID-19. Everybody is suffering. I know businesses are, as well as municipalities. Connected with the decrease in the economic activity, most of the village tax revenues will be impaired, including sales, income, alcohol, hotel, gasoline, video gaming, and real estate transfers. So one of the reasons why we implemented the property tax was to, shield us from the economic downturns that most of these other taxes are incurred during recessions or a pandemic. Of course, we didn't know this pandemic was going to happen. As we approve the village's spending plan for the new fiscal year, which begins May 1st, we are already beginning to discuss what expenditures can be cut back as we have done in the past in order to maintain the budget balance for the new budget. We're already starting to look at that. And I'll have a recommendation regarding one of the items that's on the agenda tonight as a preliminary indication that we're starting to look at our expenses further. So I guess in short, we can't do anything to abate the current property tax. The bottom line is we need that property tax in order for us to provide the essential services to the residents of the village, including police, public safety, and our public works, as well as all the other supporting departments. That's it.
Thank you, Bob. There was a second one, Tia. Do you have another one from Mr. Garvey?
Yes, I do. Give me 1 second. We have a Mr. Thomas Garvey. His subject is action on reducing reserve balance from 50% to 25%. His comment is, why is this a prudent action at this time? Considering a property tax has been recently approved. Revenue will begin in June 2020, correct? Why spend down reserves at this time or reduce reserves requirement, especially during a time of economic uncertainty.
I'll take a stab at that, Tia. This is Finance Director Baytek. The recommendation to reduce the reserve requirement in the general fund is really founded in the actions we took last fall connected with the property tax. Most communities do have about a 3-month reserve or 25% of 1 year's expenditures as a base reserve. And as you well know, adding the additional stability that the property tax avails us of, we thought it would be prudent to be able to reduce that. We're not proposing spending down reserves, mind you. We're just proposing to reduce the minimum reserve required. So, and also in part of this, with the construction of the proposed fiscal 21 budget, is the creation of an equipment replacement fund. There are portions of those reserves that will go into a dedicated fund to replace the village's fleet vehicles as they age, as opposed to trying to find the money during difficult times. You'll notice on the agenda this evening, there are some proposed equipment purchases, which that new equipment replacement fund would permit us to do under these trying circumstances. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, John. Again, Mayor Savarino. Tia, do we have anything else that came in?
We do not. However, we agreed to keep our public comment period open until 7:45 p.m. So we'll need to take 2 more minutes to allow the opportunity for additional public comments to come in on the public comment form. The public comment form is visibly available on the screens. It is also available on our website under Hearing Access.
Mayor Savarino, thank you, Tia.
And Mr. Mayor, this is Jim Rhodes again. We should indicate for the record that we do have in the files a copy of the notice of public hearing indicating that on today's date that the public hearing for the budget would be held. And John, I believe you have a copy of that notice of public hearing, is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Rhodes.
And that was published in the Examiner?
Yes, sir, it was on March 25th, 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
We have received a follow-up question from Thomas Garvey. He has asked, so that means approximately 14 million is now available for use in that new fund for vehicle replacement.
Actually, the reserve balance that begins the vehicle replacement fund is just under $4 million. Mind you, we did not have a 50% cash reserve. We weren't holding 50% in cash reserves at the onset of this proposal. So what we had done to establish the reserve fund was calculate basically for every fleet piece of equipment its current depreciated life, whether it was a new squad car or a 10-year-old dump truck. We had calculated what we should have in reserve today to be able to replace those pieces of equipment at the end of their lives. So the transfers to that new equipment replacement fund total just under $4 million, and that will reduce, we will still maintain a general fund reserve balance slightly north of 25%.
Thank you, Mr. Baytek. Again, Mayor Savarino. Tia, is that the last question?
I am refreshing the form one more time just to confirm. The form has reloaded. We have no additional questions.
There a
We are now
motion?
able to close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing, trustee McCarthy?
Second by
Trustee
trustee
Schwarzy.
Frizzlani.
Clerk call a roll.
Trustee Zalick,
Aye.
trustee LaRocca,
Aye.
trustee Geezer,
Aye.
trustee Frizzloni,
Aye.
trustee Schwarzy,
Aye.
trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
There a motion to establish a consent agenda, Mayor
So
Savarino?
moved. So moved.
Aye.
Trustee Bailey.
Second, trustee Geezer.
Clerk call a roll.
Trustee Zalick,
Aye.
trustee LaRocca,
Aye.
trustee Geezer,
Aye.
trustee Frizzloni,
Aye.
trustee Schwarzy,
Aye.
trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read what is on the consent agenda?
Under staff reports and recommendations. Recommendation for a reduction in the amount of required reserves to be maintained in the general fund from 50% to 25% of annual budgeted operating expenditures.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Number 2, agreements for professional services and independent contractors agreement with B&F Construction Code Services for consultant services not to exceed $80,000 in aggregate during fiscal year 2021.
Yes.
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 Number 3, motion to approve purchase of 2 Exmark Laser 72-inch deck zero-turn mowers for a total amount of $35,408 from Mowers and More under Sourcewell contract number 062117-EXM for fiscal year 21.
Yes.
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 Yeah. Yes.
Number 4, approving a motion rejecting all bids for emergency streetlight repair services and that staff be directed to revise the bid form and rebid the contract.
Yes.
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 Number 5, Police Department Administrative Services Agreement Contract with Stephen F. Schmidt Consulting, Inc. be extended for an additional term of 4 months at the negotiated fee of $11,500 per month, per terms and conditions outlined in the original contract.
Off by trustee Frizzlani.
Okay.
Also, I have a correction to that memo, just for information purposes. Under page 6 of the PDF, the online PDF, under Police Administrative Services Agreement, under the services for the number of hours, it listed 850 hours. And that was for the 60 hours, or the original 6-month period. Since this will only be for a 4-month period, the number of hours is 560 hours. And that's for your information. Okay.
Okay, continuing the items to be reviewed for consent agenda. We have an ordinance authorizing the amendment of the annual budget of the Village of Carol Stream for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2020, to account for certain expenses incurred during the year which were more than originally projected, and also establishes budgetary appropriations for new funds created during the year.
Yes.
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 That is
Yes.
ordinance number 2020-04-08. Item 2, ordinance adopting the annual budget of the Village of Carroll Stream in the amount of $58,837,023 for the fiscal year 2021 budget, beginning May 1, 2020 and ending April 30th, 2021.
Yes.
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 That is ordinance number 2020-04-09. Next item, ordinance amending section 13-3-13 of the Village Code pertaining to water and sewer rates. This increases the standard billing rate for water services from $8.14 to $8.38 per 1,000 gallons metered.
Yes.
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 That is ordinance number 2020-04-10. Next item, ordinance amending Chapter 6, Article 13, Sections 6-13-3 and 6-13-4, 6-13-7, and 6-13-10 of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances, fees and securities for construction and new development. This increases various plan review and inspection fees.
Yes.
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 That is ordinance number 2020-4-11. Resolutions. Resolution authorizing the village manager to issue the power of attorney for the purchase or sale of motor vehicles and for the purchase of license plates.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That is resolution number 3132. Next, resolution adopting the 2020 to 2021 employee compensation plan, a general wage adjustment of 3%, and funding this year's performance-based non-union compensation program at a set 2% adjustment.
This is Bob Miller, Village Manager. Before the board takes a vote on that item, I would request that the board, you hear an echo?
Yes.
Yes.
Carry.
Okay, I'm not sure why that's echoing, but I'll try to talk over my echo. Okay, no, still there.
If everyone who is not speaking at this time can try muting, we may be able to reduce the echo.
I know. Testing? Yeah.
Bob, we're getting a real loud.
Yeah, I heard that. Testing? Okay, that sounds better. I'd like to make a recommendation on the comp plan. Included in the compensation plan is a recommendation for a 2% performance increase. I would ask the board to hold that in abeyance until we have a better handle on how the pandemic affects our finances in the future. At this point, it's uncertain. This is one of the measures that we need to take to ensure that we have a balanced budget. So at some point in the future, when we have a better handle on our finances, we would bring this back to the board for approval. Just that component.
This is Trustee Schwarzy. I make the motion that we make the changes, as Village Manager Miller mentioned, removing the 2% merit increase and keeping the rest of the resolution as written.
Mr. Mayor, let's
Is this Jim Rhodes? I think we lost you, Jim.
Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Since this is on the consent agenda and it's going to be amended, let's have it removed from the consent agenda and then we can do that separately.
I'll make a motion to take it off the consent agenda. Trustee Frizzaloni?
Yeah,
Trustee Schwarzy, second.
you don't need a motion. You can just indicate off and it'll be taken off as the other ones are.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, as clerk, I will continue to read down items for consent agenda. Payment of bills, regular bills, March 17, 2020 through March 30, 2020.
Yes.
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 Addendum warrants, March 17, 2020 through March 30, 2020.
Yes.
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 Regular bills, March 31, 2020 through April 6, 2020.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Mayor Savarino, is there a motion to put those items on the consent agenda?
So moved. Trustee McCarthy?
Second by Trustee Frizzaloni?
Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalik.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve those items by omnibus vote?
Trustee Geezer?
Second by Trustee Frizzaloni?
Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalik.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Geezer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Okay, so the first thing that we have that's off the consent agenda is number 5, and that is Police Department Administrative Service Agreement. And that was taken off by Trustee Frizzaloni. So Trustee Frizzaloni, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I understand the scope of the contract extension request for Mr. Schmidt, we're kind of moving into the helping to identify our police chief candidates. Then he's going to be part of a group to conduct interviews and then ultimately to appoint our next police chief. I don't believe that this process is going to take 4 months. Especially at a cost of $46,000. So having been through hiring processes before, I'm recommending that we change the agreement to a 2-month extension. And I believe that this is a reasonable amount of time to accomplish what we need to accomplish, which is ultimately appointing our next police chief.
So the recommendation is to change from 4 months to 2 months. Mr. Miller, our village manager, is that doable?
Circumstances. Okay, I would, this is Bob Miller, village manager. Under normal circumstances, if we didn't have all the activity that we have going on with the pandemic, some internal issues in police, I would say that would be doable. Unfortunately, a lot of things have come up since the contract was signed back in October of 2019. That is the sole reason why I'm recommending a 4-month extension. I'd prefer a 6-month, but after discussing the matter with a couple of trustees independently, I felt that we could probably do it in 4 months. And this would be, we would be interviewing internal as well as external candidates. And, you know, I feel confident that we could do it in 4 months.
Trustee Zalek, is it possible that if 2 months you need more time, we can then give another 2 months? I mean, do we have to do the 4 months right now?
We could do that. I mean, technically we can do it in any increment, but, you know, I believe that it will take, you know, at least 2 or 3 months, probably closer to 4. You know, we would have to advertise, we'd have to accept applications, schedule the interviews, and granted, you know, this isn't a good time to be recruiting, especially since a lot of this will probably have to be done remotely and over the phone. But at some point, we'd like to have the person come in to interview. Granted, all the internal candidates we would have readily available, but there's some unusual things that have been thrown into the mix, which is the reason why I was recommending 4 months.
And Bob, this is Trustee Frizzoni. I understand that, but when we look at a 2-month extension, we are looking at basically taking us through the end of June before we would get to final interviews and bringing someone in potentially that would be sitting down and to a face-to-face interview. So I still think that 2 months is a reasonable amount of time to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Okay. Well,
This is Mayor Severino. Does any, besides Trustee Zalik, anyone else have any comments on this? I'd like to start with, being we can't see each other and I can't see your hands. Trustee McCarthy, how do you feel about that?
In my honest opinion, it's strictly because of the situation we're in. Trustee Zalik's option isn't terrible, the 2 month and a 2 month, but I'm fine with a 4 month strictly because of the situation we're in. There's nothing we're going to be able to really accomplish until at least the end of this month to even get started.
Trustee Geezer, how do you feel about that?
I think I have to agree with Trustee McCarthy here. If it was a normal situation, 2 months would be probably doable. But there is so much going on and so many obligations and expectations of things going on. And just to get people to potentially even travel here after doing video and or phone interviews, I think 4 months is probably reasonable at this point.
Trustee Swarzy, how do you feel?
You know, I totally understand Trustee Fruzzoloni and Trustee Zalik's thought process, but with the certain circumstances that we're facing, and I know very well what it's like to be in the first responder field right now, and I think Village Manager Meller needs us 4 months.
Thank you. Trustee LaRocca?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am in agreement with Trustee McCarthy. I've been through the hiring process several times, and under normal circumstances, it takes quite a while. And when I first read the report, I questioned whether 4 months was going to be enough. Given the situation that we're in, you know, they're saying that they're giving us till the end of April to stay at home, and personally, I think it's going to go beyond that. I don't see a very quick end to this. Just based on historical trends with what happened with the Spanish flu, it was a good 3 months for the bulk of the issue, but it was lingering for 2 years. So I'm perfectly fine with 4 months.
So we have 4, correct me if I'm wrong, that would go to 4 months, 2 for 2 months. My concern is that right now we're at the top of that curve, and I'm out of town and I can't get back unless I drive back because I can't fly. I have Trustee McCarthy is down, correct, if I'm right? Trustee McCarthy, you down right now for a few weeks?
I'm good.
Okay, you're good, but I'm concerned that the health issue for everybody, bringing people in and sitting close together, I'd like to see the 2-month and extension of 2 months if we can't get it done in 2 months, but I don't want to put the pressure on our staff because we're working even and odd days to try and keep everybody separated, which means they're working from home, but it ain't the same as working from office to office. This is not normal, what we're doing. I would rather be safe than sorry and push it through in 2 months and lose to lose the chief that we have now that came highly recommended by one of our state senators. John Milner was the one that really put the final touches on what he thought about Mr. Schmidt. And that's how he got there. I want to make that clear to everybody. That was how he got to us. Our state senator was chief of police Elmhurst at one time, worked real close with him. And being we needed an interim chief, it was his recommendation to bring him in. I just want to make that clear. So that being said, we have 4 months. Is that what we're going to end up doing, Mr. Miller?
That's correct. And don't get me wrong, if we can do it quicker, we'll work in all due haste to do it, but that's my best guess, 4 months.
I would really appreciate if you could do that in 2 months. I think we'd all be happy. It would be, I'm not going to, because I know we're under a tremendous amount of pressure right now. So 4 months, and if you can get it done in 2, we'll all be happy.
May I ask a question? This is Trustee Fruzzoloni.
Sure.
Is there a way for us to allow the contract to expire as it's stated to in April, and then once we get the all clear that we can resume business as normal, then we start the 2-month clock at that point? So we enter into a new contract starting whenever it is, if it's May 15th, if it's May 30th, and then we start the 2-month clock then?
I believe the contract expires before the end of the month, so we're still trying to determine whether we're going to have another board meeting this month. That would be my concern, leaving it open like that.
Well, my concern is, and this is Trustee Fruzzoloni again, my concern is we're looking at spending $46,000 when we feel that we might be able to get this done in 2 months. So we're talking about adding 2 months on because of the pandemic. And I'm not sure that asking the residents of Carroll Stream to pay an additional $23,000 on this contract is fair.
I guess I was trying to make it clear that I think it'll take 4 months. If we can do it in a shorter amount of time, we certainly will. We're not going to spend money frivolously. I can see, I guess I can't see what the concern is. We typically don't spend money where we don't have to, especially under the current conditions and projected revenue shortfalls that we're looking at in the coming year.
Trustee Schwarze here. My comments about the revenues is, I understand where Trustee Fruzzoloni's concern is. As soon as we hire somebody, a chief, whether it's 2 months or 4 months, is going to be obviously paid a salary that we're currently not paying now. So the money is kind of almost moot. With that being said, it sounds like Trustee Zalek had a good idea of initially going with a 2-year contract with the option to open it up again in 2 months if we need it. So that's all.
Trustee Schwarze, you meant 2-month contract, not 2-year contract, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
So I guess I'm confused now. This is Village Manager Miller. I'm not sure where we're heading on this.
Well, I think that 4 people said 4 months, 2 people said 2 months. So I'm going to ask Mr. Rhodes, do we have to vote on that? Is it 2 months or 4 months? Trustee Schwarze.
It was taken off of the consent agenda, so someone is going to have to make a motion. And with respect to the services contract and the term, and if there's a concern about spending additional money, then one way that you certainly could do it is to extend it on a month-to-month basis for a period of up to 4 months.
4 years.
4 months.
Oh, I like that idea. I think that's probably the best. I thought two extended if we can't get it done. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on everybody right now. We're all working under tremendous, even if we're not all in that building, we're still all working under a lot of pressure, taking calls from people in town, working with the businesses in town. I've been very busy, busier than when I'm on the ground there, because people all have my phone number to call me. So I've been very active like all of you have. So I wouldn't have a problem doing that, extending if we could do it. Do we know if Mr. Schmidt would do that? I mean, we're going to ask him to take a contract month to month for 4 months. I'm not sure he's willing to do that. We have to ask him. That was something we never talked about.
This is Manager Meller. Are we talking about bringing this back to the board every month?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm talking about a month to month with a maximum of 4 months, and whenever the new chief comes on board, there would be a determination as to how much longer it could go, up to 4 months.
I mean, the current contract has a 30-day termination clause in it, so I guess that's already there.
Well, then,
Sure.
then you answered the question, okay? I mean, if that's the case.
You know, and Manager Meller again, somebody brought up the issue of what we're paying the contractor versus what we were paying the previous chief. He is being paid considerably less than the previous chief. So if we did hire a chief, we would incur pension costs, benefit costs, which we're not paying now, vehicle costs, uniform costs. Not paying any of that with the consultant. So it's significantly less than employee.
Trustee Zalek here.
Go ahead, John.
John, we lost you.
Well, I'm just saying, isn't like Steve Schmidt present in this meeting?
He is.
I mean, we asked, would he be up for doing that? I mean, and I haven't heard from him.
Steve, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You know, when I was hired, the whole object was to evaluate and help select a new chief, and I'm willing to do that. I'll tell you, with the time limit, the only experience I have had is when Ivy was put in for the chief in Elk Grove, and they did go to the outside. It took them 5 months.
Well, I understand, and I wasn't around when the last two chiefs that did come in from the outside. I think, Mr. Meller, you were on at that time. After 35 years, you were there.
Yes, sir.
To bring somebody in from the outside.
It takes at least 4 months.
Well, and now we're talking about reduced error. I mean, most people won't even get on it. And I mean, if we're going to do a search, you may get somebody from California, from Oregon, or where they're going to come.
Well,
I think we're being premature. We're worried about spending 2 extra months. We know we need at least 2 months. We're talking the extra 2 months. And Trustee Swarzy was right on the money. We're going to have to pay the new chief that comes in considerably more than the 2 deputy chiefs or the 2 commanders, whoever might get that promotion, if that's the case, or somebody in from the outside, significantly more than we're paying Chief Schmidt right now. So, I mean, we really aren't going to be spending $20,000 or $40,000 more of the village's money. We've already saved 6 months of what we were paying the other chief to what we're paying him to do the same job. And right now, we've got to be behind on police officers because we had so many leave. And we haven't really had we haven't sworn anybody in months. So I don't think we could use the money as the excuse, to be honest with you. I think if it's going to take the time, then we should take the time.
This is Trustee Frusaloni again. completely understand, Mr. Mayor, what you're saying. When we bring in a new chief, though, we're going to have different expectations and job responsibilities for a chief. So for a full-time chief, and I would expect that, yes, we would be paying appropriately for a chief to come in. As far as the contract goes, we are not, contractor Schmidt is not fulfilling the full roles and duties of a full-time police chief. So I still go back to, and I like Trustee Zalick's idea of 2 months with a 2-month extension. I like Mr. Rhodes's idea of month to month and capping it at 4 months. I'm just looking at, we are asking the residents of Carroll Stream to pay $11,500 per month for the pandemic to end before we would really be able to complete this process or even start part of the process. What we don't know is, we've been talking a lot about going outside and going outside and going outside. We have very viable candidates within our department. So we haven't even taken into consideration that one of our command staff could interview for this position, and everyone who's sitting on that committee says, this is our person and we don't need to go outside. And that could complete the process in 2 months.
Trustee Schwarzy here. I totally agree that we have qualified candidates within the department. So I definitely agree with you there. And if that only takes 2 months to get to that point, that's great. It sounds like the contract, Village Manager Miller, please tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like the contract does have would you say a 30-day opt-out of some sort?
It does, yes.
Okay, so we don't need to make any special motion to go month to month because it's already in there. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Correct.
But both parties can opt out. This is Trustee Zalek. What the opt out? Is it, who can opt out? Is it us or Steve Schmidt?
It's both parties.
Okay. Then I'm good with that.
And who from the village would make that determination then?
The village manager.
Trustee Schwarzy here. With that being said, I'm going to make the motion that we go ahead and accept that item as, and I lost track of which item it was, but that item as is written, and just accept that as written. That's all.
So the motion is to accept the 560 hours with the 30-day cancellation clause that's presently in the contract, with the ability to be canceled either by Steve Schmidt or by Carroll Stream Village Manager. So that motion was put in by Trustee Schwarzy. Is there a second?
So moved, Trustee McCarthy.
So we have clerk call the roll.
Trustee Zalek.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Gizer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzalone.
No.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Thank you. That was a lot tougher than I thought it would be, but everybody got to say what they wanted, and we all feel pretty much the same, just have different ways of coming at it. The other item that was off was, we have another item that was off. I lost my paperwork here.
J2, Mr. Mayor.
J2.
Mr. Mayor, this is Jim Rhodes again. There would need to be a motion to amend the proposed resolution to eliminate the 4%, or I'm sorry, the 2% performance-based compensation program at this time.
Trustee Gizer makes that motion.
Second,
Trustee LaRocca will second it.
clerk call the roll.
Trustee Zalek.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Gizer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzalone.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy,
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Okay, with that, I want to say thank you to whoever's idea that was, because it was on here to be passed. It would have been that easy to take the money, but I appreciate you giving up that 2%, anybody that would have had that coming. Thank you very much. Report officers, are we that far?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'm gonna pretend like we're sitting at the dais, and I'm gonna call on Trustee LaRocca to be first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we are in some really tough times. I don't have much of a report other than to extend my wishes for everybody to pay attention to staying apart, staying home, social distancing. This virus is just feeding, and we have to cut the supply, and we have to stop giving it areas to live. And the only way to do that is just by staying apart and let this thing run its course. So please, everybody, just stay home. In the next couple weeks, the reports are that this pandemic is going to peak, and the White House is asking to not go to the grocery store or go to the pharmacy, only if it's essential. Just please let this thing run its course so it can get the heck out of here. Secondly, from my family, I want to extend our sincere condolences to the McCarthy family for the loss of his father. It's very, very difficult to lose a parent, and very difficult, much more difficult to lose a parent or lose a loved one under these circumstances. So our sincere condolences to the McCarthy family. Well, I guess that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Trustee LaRocca, thank you, and please stay safe and don't social contact with anybody right now. I need all of you is healthy. Trustee Geezer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to give my condolences, my family condolences to Trustee McCarthy and his family during this difficult time. Just so you know, we are all here for you should you need us in any way. Also, something for us to think about as a board, as a community. I noticed on the weekly provided to us this week that the Park District will not be contributing to the July 4th fireworks this year. So I really think we should probably cancel all July 4th activities, including the fireworks and the parade. I know we can't act on this right now, and we probably shouldn't act on it, but we should take some time to think about it. But I think we should probably, as the mayor said earlier, people are going to be acting differently. I don't know if people are going to want to be together as much this soon. So it's something I think we really need to think about. At the same time, we need to think about our Thursday night concert series. You know, we probably will need to cancel that as well, or at least cancel most of it. So something for us to think about over the next coming days and weeks, and then we can discuss that further as a staff and as a board. And finally, the only thing I have to say is to say stay healthy, and if you can, stay home. That's my report.
Thank you, Trustee Geezer. Before I call on Trustee Schwarzy, Tia, would you please bring the board up to speed on what we've had conversations about the Thursday night concerts and so on?
Thank you, Mayor. We have spoken with our agent who helps connect us with the different bands, and they said that they are willing to consider not having any charges, even if the contracts allow, if we maintain the same bands for next year. We have also been speaking with some other municipalities, and we are hearing reports of some that have canceled their entire event season through August 1st, and a couple that have also already canceled their 4th of July activities to try to be as careful as possible given the unusual circumstances with COVID-19.
Thank you, Tia. What I'm trying to get my point across is in January, everybody knew what COVID-19 was or had a good idea. And we're in April and we have not hit that peak yet, that curve they're talking about. So we don't know what's going to be after April, June, July. We don't know what we're facing here yet. We're in an area where we've never been in. All the other mayors that I've talked to and all the conversations that I've had, this is unknown territory to all of us. So we're taking it a day at a time, a week at a time, and trying to do the best what we have to work with. Thank you, Tia. The next,
Mr. Mayor, Rick Gieser, Trustee Gieser again.
yes.
Yeah, the main thing is, and me bringing this up, is the safety of our residents. It would be a shame. I think we'd all be heartbroken. I think we would individually and as a community if we had one of these events and somebody suffered catastrophically from it. So that's why I think we really seriously, it probably should be canceled.
Well, I think it's all in the works already. We've already got all the Thursday night concerts basically where we don't get our money back, but we haven't paid them, I don't think, but we have to rebook them for next year, which would be fine. That wouldn't be a problem if we booked them this year. The 4th of July, to be honest with you, I wouldn't spend an extra $11,000 for fireworks. If the cost was $22,000 and the park just put in 11, I wouldn't put in the other 11. We're not going to do that. So without being able to split them out, we weren't going to do it anyway. I'm glad that you feel, as the chairman and the person that puts the whole parade committee together, feels that way, because now we're all on the same page. I wasn't sure how everybody was going to be, what page they were going to be on. So now I'm sure you feel that way, and for the right reason. Our residents come first. So thank you, Trustee Gieser.
Exactly.
Trustee Swearzik.
Thank you, sir, and condolences, Matt. I'm very, very sorry for your loss, as I know we all are. So please reach out if you need anything. I want to first by saying thanks to the staff for putting this audio meeting together, especially Tia and Mark Talavera. Obviously we had, it wasn't as smooth as what maybe a normal meeting is, but it went way better than I was expecting, and it's so important for everyone to stay isolated, as you all know. So thank you guys very much. It's good that we can still conduct business, even though we can't be together. So this is an awful pandemic virus going around, as we all know. Shout outs to everybody. There's so many people to thank. I mean, the nurses, the doctors, the clerks at the grocery store, the people that are still working in warehouses. And of course, on the more personal level, our staff, our public works who are still out on the streets, our PD who are still out on the streets, and a special shout out to the fire district who's out on the streets. So be safe, follow social distancing. When you can, please order out at our local restaurants. They're trying to still stay in business. We don't want you out and about as little as possible, but please go ahead and order out. We have a lot of great restaurants in town. I know Tia's put some Facebook posts on there about all our different restaurants and things like that. So shop in our local Carol Stream restaurants when you can. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Swearzik. Trustee Zalick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I want to thank the staff and our IT department for putting this together. Even though I am very technology challenged, they made it easy, and I guess you guys can hear me, so it works. So thank you to them. My thoughts and prayers go out to all the Carol Stream residents that are affected in one way or another by this horrible virus. please stay home and save lives. I want to thank the essential workers out there, first responders, and all the ones that have to go to work. They're essential, and I appreciate them. And just stay healthy. My family and I want to give our condolences to Trustee McCarthy. I lost my dad about 3 or 4 years ago, and there's not a day that goes by on this roller coaster ride that I wish he was still here. So I'm sorry to say that probably Matt's worst days are still ahead of him. I mean, he might want to be like, oh, I'm going to call him, and you just can't. And that's the toughest part. So, Matt, if you need anything, please, please, please give me a call. I've been there just a few years ago, and it's going to be a tough road for you, brother. And finally, for those that do go out and have to drive to the stores, I'm putting my policeman's hat on, and April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. This effort focuses on ways to change the behavior of drivers to put their electronic devices down while driving. And this is just a reminder, you drive, you text, and you will pay. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Zalick. Trustee Fruzzoloni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Matt, my family and I, obviously, we're heartbroken for you. It was a pleasure every time that I had the opportunity to meet your dad. His legacy is definitely going to be carried on by you and your entire family. He was a really wonderful man, and this is a tremendous loss, not only for your family, but also for your friends that got to know your dad. COVID-19 it's horrible. We have many residents that are in a similar situation to Trustee McCarthy that are worried about loved ones that have lost loved ones. And the one thing that I just ask our residents to do is, if you don't have to go out, please stay home. It has been very disheartening to see the amount of people at the parks, even though the park district has done a fairly good job of trying to get the word out that basketball courts are closed, playground equipment is closed. They physically shut down the disc golf park, but over the weekend, we still have people that are hopping the fences at Glenbard North. I saw a huge crowd of people playing football. At every one of the parks, you're seeing a lot of basketball games going on, and these are not young kids that are from at-risk families. These are older teenagers and young adults that are driving, because I've watched it. Them done with their basketball games, getting in their cars, laughing and driving away. So these are people who are old enough to understand the risks of being out in groups like that. So again, please, the next couple of weeks are going to be critical. So if you don't have to go out, please don't. I'm an essential worker. I work for a manufacturing company that manufactures medical equipment and equipment for power grids. And I've seen in the last probably 5 days a huge increase of traffic in the mornings and then again at rush hour. So I'm not sure if businesses have decided to reopen that weren't essential businesses 2 weeks ago. But again, if you can work from home, please do. Please keep your family safe, because staying home actually saves lives. Mr. Mayor, I hope that you and your family are doing well. To the rest of the trustees, I hope your families are doing well through all of this. To our amazing staff, thank you. I know every day it's hard for me to go into the office because I'm worried about myself. I'm worried about bringing something potentially home from one of my coworkers and getting my family sick. So I know what our staff feels like right now when they go in and they do their jobs. And I can't thank you enough for everything you do, for putting yourselves on the front lines, especially our police department and especially our public works department. You guys are rock stars. You always have been, but this just proves it even more. And thank you to our very hardworking fire district. I can hear the calls that they go out on every single day. So thank you to all of our essential workers who are on the battleground right now trying to get this horrible virus under control. With that, I will end my report.
Thank you, trustee Fruzzoloni, and thank you for all the kind words. Trustee McCarthy?
Firstly, I second everything trustee Fruzzoloni said about our staff. They are very much appreciated in everything they do and the risk they take to make sure our vital services are up and running. Thank all of you for your support and your sympathy. I appreciate it. And everybody who's reached out to us is heartwarming, to say the least, and it's very much appreciated. But the one thing I want to remind people is the stay-at-home order. It's important. You trust me, you do not want to have to go through this right now. COVID was a contributing factor to my father's death. I don't think it was the main factor. He had many other issues also. But stay home if at all possible, and keep those distances. Let's get rid of this thing before it just keeps rolling and getting worse and worse. Just stay home for a little while and talk to your kids. Make sure, even if you're at work, make sure they're staying home and make sure they're not going out and hanging out with friends, because they're not worried about getting in themselves. But the problem is they'll bring it home and give it to either an at-risk parent or an at-risk grandparent or something like that. So please just remind your kids. Besides that, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, trustee McCarthy. Laura, village clerk?
Good evening, everyone. I too, like everyone else on the board, want to extend my sincerest condolences to the McCarthy family. I too have met Joe, Matt's dad. He's a wonderful individual. I can see he's loved by everyone in the family. And having lost my father as well, I know how hard it can be and will be. So just know that we're here for you, Matt. Also, I just want to say to everyone to please check on your elderly neighbors and family. That does not mean, I am not suggesting that you go visit them. You can call them on the phone. You can send cards. You can see if they need groceries or need anything from the store and order it online and have it delivered to their house. That's one way that you can take care of them. Also, if any parents want ideas for their kids to do, they can draw pictures and send cards to nursing homes in the area for the elderly residents who are not getting visitors. I'm sure they would absolutely love to see those cards from kids or adults and everyone. And then lastly, obviously I end my report with our first responders, our military, and I'm going to add our essential workers. Those people are the people that are keeping this world turning at the moment. They're the ones keeping us safe. They're the ones keeping us alive right now. And if the younger generations would just realize how serious this is, that yes, it doesn't affect them personally, as in possibly getting sick, but yes, they're bringing it home to our generation who is getting sick and making things worse. I have it with my kids coming in and visiting when they shouldn't be. But so if we can remember everybody who's out there working hard for us, and let's try to make this a little bit easier on them. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for your generosity. That was very nice of you, what you did with the pizzas. I'm sure they appreciated it. I know I do. I appreciate what you've done.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rhodes, our village attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Matt, my condolences to you and your family. Your dad and your family will be in our prayers for certain. And for everyone else, please stay safe. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Meller, village manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Normally, during our board meetings, we will have a proclamation or two. In order to expedite the meeting, we eliminated those, but I just wanted to mention on behalf of our Public Works Director that April is Safe Digging Month with the warm weather. People will start digging up their yards or excavating for construction projects. Remind them that permits are still needed and to dial 811 before digging so you don't hit a utility line. And just a comment on our residents. Thank you to all our residents who are practicing physical distancing from each other. Majority of our residents are doing that. It's only a handful that aren't. I'm starting to see more people with the president and the CDC recommending face masks for people that are out in the general public and are in close distance with each other. I'm starting to see our residents wearing the masks. On my walk today, I even saw somebody in their own car by themselves wearing a mask. So I think they're taking it seriously. We thank those residents. And finally, on behalf of myself and the entire village staff, our condolences go out to Trustee McCarthy and his family, and our prayers are certainly with you during this difficult time.
Thank you, Mr. Meller. I guess it's my turn. Trustee McCarthy, I'm lost for words. I lost my mom and my dad a long time ago, and I know what you're going through right now, and you have offers from people that if you need to talk to, consider me your second father. I'm old enough to be your father, so maybe your grandfather. So I've been through it, and anything that I could help you with, I'm there for you and your family. I feel very bad for you right now. When you told me that, we were in a car, Bobby and I, we were all trying to get some air away from everybody and be alone with the windows rolled up, and we both were tempted to pull over. We both got sick at the same time. We felt that bad about it. So our hearts are with you and our prayers are with you. To the staff and Tia and Mark Talavera, Bob, Joe, the entire staff, everybody, thank you for all that you are doing right now. We're in some really, really, really difficult times. We made Joe the point man. There's still telephone conferences with the mayor from Chicago and other mayors, a lot of managers, and a lot of people from the IML. Sunday nights at 7 o'clock is when they have one of the meetings, the telephone meetings where they all get on and talk about what's going on. And we're trying to put this thing behind us, but we're coming in right now to the worst time. We're at that top of that curve, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next probably 5 to 8 days is what we're looking at right now. There's a lot of information flying around. I asked the residents if you have questions. Some of them want to ask, they'll ask me, why is the car wash open? I tell them to close it. Then I found out it's an essential thing. I didn't know that. One car wash could open, the other one can't. So go figure. The way the governor put this together, I don't know. They threw it together quick. One day it's wear a mask, the next day it's don't wear a mask. I mean, so there's a lot of questions, but we have a lot of answers on their website, and we have a lot of answers if they bother to pick up the phone and call the village hall. And I have a lot of people that have called me or sent me text messages or emails. I have referred them back to the village staff. They're on top of it. Joe Carey is on top of it. T is on top of it. And I'm in really close contact with them between Denise and Tia and Joe and Bob and the rest of the staff. I am there every day on the phone 2, 3, 4 times a day talking to different departments to see what's going on and what they need. So we're all in this together. I see Senator Cullerton sent me a picture of him in front of our village hall, and he brought 30 gallons of bleach, I think is what he brought today. Took pictures on the front steps at the village hall. So that was pretty nice. That, in my opinion, was the only thing that I know of that any of the senators or reps have gone out of their way. A lot of them asked what you need. I didn't ask him, but he knew we needed bleach. You can't even get bleach right now. So very appreciative that he thought of us to bring that. So with that, all I can say is that I say prayers every night for everybody in Carol Stream. We're going through a rough time right now. We're losing residents. This isn't the way. I would rather have somebody tell me that they're moving than going to heaven. I want them to stay. I don't want them to go to heaven. I don't want them to go anyplace. So please, 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 social distancing is working. If we keep it going, it'll add to our lives and all the people we love. The kids that are playing basketball, playing baseball, the ones that Mary talked about, She was one of the first to jump on it and show pictures of them playing at the parks. I mean, I'm glad the park district took the Frisbee boxes out or wherever they are to play Frisbee in. I mean, they should have took everything down that they could take down, because these people they're not stopping. And they may contract it to each other and then bring it home to their parents or their grandparents. That's what I worry about. So with that, I'm gonna end my rant here and say God bless all of you, and thank you to my trustees and staff for all you do to keep Carroll Stream a great place to live, work, and raise your family. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved, trustee McCarthy.
Second, trustee Frizzaloni.
Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalick.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Giesser.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy.
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Good night, everyone, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
everybody.